Good morning, everybody. 25th of March. This is a different video to normal. What you're about to see is a presentation of the new school plan. We're seeking a bit of consultation with the community. So at the end of the video, there is the school email address. You could send that in. Alternatively, I'm at the gate every afternoon. You know where I am, and we can have a chat. So please keep on watching, and we'll send out the weekly update as a separate video this week. There's a fair bit of planning involved every day here. We've got the money we need to plan, the staff we need to plan, and all of that has to contribute to give some really good positive outcomes for students. And while we want a wide range of outcomes, obviously we have to sort of be strategic about how we're planning around that and to narrow the focus of the school based on the school's needs and the students' needs. So hopefully I'll try to share my screen with you and you can see how we've gone about doing that. So in this year, we started our year off by having a bit of a look at what information we had here at school. We looked at the student assessment data, we did some surveys amongst the staff, did some professional reading, and the outcome of that was to define 3 strategic directions that we were going to work with as a school between now and 2021. Now, the first strategic direction is the same for all schools in New South Wales, which is around student growth and attainment. We then really had to think about what that looked like in our school and wrote the statement below about what we believe that would be. And so the second one was around continuous improvement culture, and that was the outcome of consultation around the school's needs and the opportunities that we'd like to create for the kids. And the third one being around wellbeing and attendance, again, the outcome of a good look around at our school. So the first direction, the idea is for us as a school, we believe that in order to maximise student learning outcomes in reading and numeracy and to build strong foundations for academic success, the school will further develop and refine data-driven teaching practices that are responsive to the learning needs of individual students. So basically, we're going to focus on how we can do things better to improve reading and numeracy. The second direction, our thoughts are that at school here, we require all teachers to commit to collaboration, high expectations, innovation to develop the next generation of problem solvers and global citizens. And that statement's based a fair bit on some popular research that is floating around at the moment to improve outcomes for kids. The third direction we have is around wellbeing and attendance. And in a basic sense, if the kids aren't here and if their wellbeing needs aren't being met, it's going to be very, very hard to improve outcomes for our kids. So we believe at Lethbridge Park that the school connects all students, staff, parents, and the wider community in supportive and caring ways to ensure our learners attend school every day to thrive and succeed. Now, that's just the outcome of some research we did throughout the end of last year and into the start of this year. From there, we end up with our school plan, and this is what the front page would look like. And this will be published on the school website, and it's publicly available from the start of next term once it's been signed off by the Department of Education. So we had a bit of a think about what our school vision statement was, and really that really sets the scene for our school, and it's a bit aspirational, but we believe that learning opportunities are inclusive, challenging, personalised, and facilitated by dedicated educators. We are committed to a culture of high expectations, collaboration, data-informed practice, and continuous improvement within a safe, respectful learning environment. We promote excellence, attendance, and engage learners through rich, innovative experiences driven by current research and quality practice. So that's the vision of what we have. And then over on the side here, we've got the school context. So you can read through that. Basically, it tells anyone that doesn't know our school, what our school's like, how much funding we attract, and all those other things that go together to make Lethbridge Park the unique place that it is in fact. Now, this is what each strategic direction will look like. So we start off with that purpose, which is what I was talking about at the start of the video. And from there, we've got a whole series of targets. Now, the targets in this case are system negotiated targets that we've looked at the data. I've had conversations with the Department of Education, as all principals have across the state. And from there, we have some agreed upon targets. And so, for instance, the top one here in this improvement measure says that by the end of 2022, we're looking to see an improvement in the percentage of students achieving the top 2 bands of NAPLAN to be above the lower bound of our system negotiated target. So basically what that means is we get a graph and it has these lines on it, and we need to make sure that our students fall within these lines over a period of years. And each year I can kind of work out where we should be. And if we're between those lines, everything's happy. If we're below the lines, then there are some areas that we need to focus on further and to really make sure we're bringing our kids up. And those lines continue to grow. The idea being that every year the student achievement becomes a little bit more positive, because the name of our game is around adding value. No matter how wonderfully we're doing, we can always do better, and you'd want the same for your kids, the same as I do. So the way we're planning on achieving that is working really closely on our own capacity to improve effective classroom practice in reading and effective classroom practice in numeracy, because we recognise that the thing we can do that it's the most value to the kids is to do our jobs better. So everyone wants to do a better job every day. No matter how great you are as a teacher, you can always do a better job. As a school, you can always do a better job. And we're looking at refining teaching practice to make life easier for the teachers and more strategic, so that the learning for the students is more effective, which gives better outcomes. And we have basically the same approach in reading and in numeracy. And we then have a whole range of success criteria. And what we did with those criteria, in both in this direction and in subsequent ones, is we had a good look through a range of data sources, and there's some documents that help us to quantify how well the school's going. We looked at what obviously the most aspirational statements could possibly be in the best functioning, most effective schools in the world, and that's what we're aligning ourselves to. So work on the theory that you need to aim for the sky. There's no point aiming for the trees. And that's what we're doing. And then down the bottom here, there's an evaluation plan for the direction. So it says that we're going to have a bit of a look over some assessment we've got here at school, both externally like NAPLAN sort of stuff, and also the assessment we hold in school, a bit of reflection upon our own practice based on some criteria which come from research, and some which are still to be developed. That's the first direction. It's around effective classroom practice in reading and in numeracy, and it continues on with some further target measures here, some of them in 2024 and some of the years prior. And as you can imagine, like we said before, we can chart our progress over those years to keep us going in the right direction. The second direction we've got is around continuous improvement culture. So the whole idea that every day we just want to do a little bit better, and every school wants to do that, but we really believe that's important here in our school, and we're absolutely committed to doing that. So we have got some targets, but they're not those system targets like we spoke about before. These are targets that really come from a research project and a compilation of what works best and what creates excellence in schools around the world. We've had a look through those and create some targets around what we believe would be best for our school. And you can see right down here on the left-hand side, we've got targets that go right through to 2024 around building partnerships in learning, collaboration between parents, students, and community. We're looking at showing growth in our school, being equal to or greater than other similar schools, and making sure that for each year that our children attend school, they make more than 1 year's growth. So in other words, if you're here for a year and you're growing the equivalent of 13 or 14 months, that's a really great thing. You're doing well. But if you're here for a year and the student's only making 6 months progress, that's a real area for concern. It's something that we would have to address together. So the two initiatives we've really got. The first initiative is going to be around quality instructional leadership and targeted professional learning. So that links fairly closely to our first strategic direction. Again, it's the idea being by analysing our own professional learning needs that we can tailor professional learning in a way that gives us the most bang for the buck. And one of the things we've done is each year, each staff member in the Department of Education has a performance development plan where they chart out their goals for the year, what they're going to learn to do better, to impact student outcomes a bit better. And that has to be reflective of not just the teacher's needs, but also the needs of the school. And from that, we've cross-referenced it to create sort of working groups amongst our staff. So there might be some staff that have got a similar goal. So we will target that professional learning so it is the most effective. And obviously the goal for any professional learning is around student outcomes and how we can do things better for the kids. The second initiative we have here is around contemporary curriculum design and delivery. Now, this is the idea that the days of standing in front of the blackboard and writing stuff on and the kids copying it down in their book, they're long gone. We need our students to be partners in learning. One of the big lessons from the remote learning phases of COVID last year is how effectively our students can access learning when they're outside the classroom. So they might in fact be at home. We had some kids that were stuck interstate. We had even a couple of kids out in the islands. They were still able to access learning in a variety of ways. We'd like to bring that flexibility back into the school so that the students are more actively engaged, are more involved, and become much more self-sustained. So the idea that learning will continue long past 2:55 in the afternoon, that those ideas are still mulling over in the kids' heads, they're still thinking about it, and it creates a more seamless approach. Now that sounds simple to say, but of course that requires a fair bit of work, and that's the purpose of this initiative, is to drive that forward. And the outcome, you can see down here, we've got a fairly long selection criteria. Basically, we have high expectations for the students. We want to be a leader for the kids and a leader in our area. We want teachers to be the highest performing professionals that they can possibly be. That's certainly my goal for myself, and all my colleagues here share that same goal. And then we're going to have a bit of a look at the end of the year and the end of the school plan around what's been successful, what have we done that's created that engagement, what have we done that has improved outcomes for students. And the third direction, and there's only three, it's specified, we're going to have these three directions. The third direction we have here is around wellbeing and attendance, and everyone's well aware how keen I am on improving attendance at our school. The idea being it's very, very hard to learn if you're not actually here at school. More importantly, we also recognise that the habits formed in primary school around attendance will be a big factor in high school and then in sort of the job market later on. And I think I was joking around last week that if my attendance wasn't too good, the boss would be on the phone to me and it would be hard to hold down a job. I guess that's part of it, but more than that is around that continuity of learning that we know is so critical around attendance. So what we're looking to see is to increase the percentage of our students attending school more than 90% of the time by 4.5% in the next 12 months. So that sounds like I know there's a lot of figures in that, and that comes from some of those system negotiated targets I spoke about earlier. Basically, having kids every day is what we're getting at, unless there's a legitimate reason for them not to be, is the long and short of it. The way we're going to achieve that is really having a look at both our whole school practices, how we can support the community, and how we can work together around having our students here and recognising how important that is. The other thing we're keen to do as part of this initiative is to look at enhancing wellbeing here at school. Now, there's a measure of wellbeing that the students do each year, and Lethbridge Park Public School comes out really, really well. In fact, we come out kind of above those bands I was talking about earlier, the system negotiated targets. We come out so high, it becomes a little bit difficult to measure what we could do to improve because the numbers are getting so close to the top. But there was one area that I'd like to explore a bit more. And when I unpacked it, it's around the sense of belonging at school. So, our kids here, they're very obliging. They come to school, they're happy, they're cooperative, they're well behaved. But there's one very small measure which is around that sense of belonging that I'd like to see us work a bit more on. And that's partly around being here at school often, and that creates a sense of belonging. But also, we need to sort of have a bit of a look at how the transitions to school work, so both into preschool, into kindergarten, and then also out of year 6 and into high school, because that's a big part of that wellbeing. And PBL's been a big focus of our school here for a number of years. As everybody would know, we're keen to keep that focus, but it is also time for us to reflect upon how we're going about doing that. And one of our goals over the next few years is to make sure that PBL continues to be as effective as it possibly can. And the success criteria is really simple. We just want to work together around our systems and around student attendance, make sure the kids are here. We want to make sure that our students connect, succeed, thrive and learn at school, and I'm sure parents would share that with me. And also to make sure that when we have a look at our school's performance against some wellbeing frameworks, that we tick all the boxes basically. We want to do a good job. And there's a range of data we can collect. Some of it comes from our school-based data systems. There's also the Tell Them From Me survey that our students in years 4, 5 and 6 participate in each year. That gives us a really good snapshot of wellbeing. Now, the idea with all of this information is that parents have an opportunity to give us a bit of feedback around the directions, and probably the best way to do that is up on the screen here. I've got the school's email address. You can flick us an email. You can catch me at the gate. Our APs are at the gates as well. They're good people to have a bit of a chat with. And the idea is that this will be uploaded onto our school website during the school holidays, and that will then guide our school direction until 2024. And again, the whole idea is better outcomes for our kids. So for me, that's where we're going with our school plan. Your feedback, well and truly appreciated. This doesn't get locked in until the end of the term, so we've got another week or so that we're still doing some redrafts and some edits. So there is time for that feedback in a really genuine way.